President Bola Tinubu has paid tribute to the legacy of the Ogoni Four activists who sacrificed spotlighted environmental injustice in the Niger Delta in a gesture both symbolic and strategic. The president announced plans to restart oil production in Ogoniland, promising a new model of responsible extraction and community engagement. Now, this move aims to balance economic revitalization with environmental accountability in a region long scarred by pollution and neglect. Well, joining me to discuss this further is Fegalo Nsuke, who is the president for the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, this gesture by Mr. President to, of course, honor the four activists. I mean, as a group, is this how do you find this? Is this enough?
It's not enough. Certainly not enough. But I think in recent times we've seen a whole lot of activities directed at the Ogoni axis, and it's interesting because all of these are happening at a time when Mr. President is showing very keen interest in resuming the production of oil in Ogoni. So in some way, I would say, well, I think that the interest of the government is driving a whole lot of changes, a whole lot of activities in Ogoni. That's good. And I do hope that by the end of the day, we're going to have some understanding that allows us to move forward, in the best ways that we can.
All right. Another issue, that of course is in the spotlight in this area is the resumption of oil exploration in the area. We know that the reason why part of why this was, stopped, halted, was because of the fallout of this environmental pollution and its antecedent effect. Now, looking at, the years that have rolled by, the impact of exploration in the past, is this the right time to resume, such an activity, given the impact it has had in the region?
Well, it's well over 30 years since oil production stopped in Ogoni. And so 30 years after those issues, we cannot say it's not a good time.
But have those issues really been addressed?
Yes, that's where I'm coming to. Because the fact is that there are fundamental, very critical issues that have not been addressed. And we've seen, some hurried push towards getting oil produced. Let me look at this thing from the background of the problem. There are three critical parties involved in this problem. The federal government of Nigeria is one party. The oil industry is another party. The Ogoni people are the other party. Now, what we have at the moment is that one party to the conflict has assumed the role of an arbitrator and trying to pull everybody together. They are a party in the conflict, but they are now trying to play the role of an arbitrator. It wouldn't have been a problem if we see real sincerity in this whole thing. But I tell you what's going on right now. What's very disturbing is that they told us they were trying to collect the views of Ogoni people and take the position of Ogoni to the federal government, which was good. Some persons were excluded. And when they got to Mr. President gave an instruction. He said, make sure that you reach out to everybody. Let there be that inclusivity so that we can have some kind of consensus. That was the instruction of Mr. President. That did not happen. What they now did is to write a report. Now you're trying to present a report on behalf of the Ogoni people. You write a report, you don't get back to us, the Ogoni people, to say, this is what we are presenting to government. What are they hiding? They now go to State House and present that whole thing. But the fact is, MOSOP actually initiated this move to resume oil production in Ogoni. And we had a plan. We had certain things we wanted to trash. For example, or in fact, not for example, one of the issues that is on the table is this issue of the 1995 execution of Ken Sarawiwa. The government granted state pardon. But the question we are asking is, how do you grant state pardon to an innocent man or to innocent people? And so we were now calling for some kind of judicial commission of inquiry to look into all of the issues that led to the death of the Ogoni Four and that of the Ogoni Nine. Because we cannot presume that all of these things will be a thing of the past and will be overlooked simply because oil production is resuming. I understand the government has its own goal. The goal of the government is to produce oil in Ogoni. That's simple. So for the government, once oil flows in Ogoni, there is no problem anymore. But that doesn't address the deep concerns of the Ogoni people. And my worry in particular as president of MOSOP is that Ogoni people are going to resist this thing. I tell you the truth.
You said you are categorically saying that the Ogoni people will resist the resumption of exploration.
Definitely. In the way it is being done, in the present circumstance, I can tell you there will be resistance. There will be very serious resistance.
There was something. There was something you said, in your opening remark. You said that you said there are three parties to this particular issue:
yes.
The federal government, the oil industry, and the Ogoni people. You said, however, one party seems to be playing all of the roles, particularly the role of the arbitrator. Yes. In the three parties, who's this party that is, you're accusing of this? The federal government,
of course. The federal government is playing the role of an arbitrator. And if you look at the direction of the federal government, they are simply pushing everyone towards their own goal. Their own goal is to produce oil in Ogoni. That is their own goal. And every other thing seems not to matter. For us, we are interested in the future of Ogoni. And so we wanted elaborate discussion on how the oil benefits Ogoni. But nobody is talking about that. We don't know if there are some backdoor discussions on that issue. But that's not how we deal with it. Because this is a mass movement. There are over 1 million Ogonis or thereabout waiting out there. And then just some few individuals will now, do some backdoor discussions and say they have addressed Ogoni issues.
Who are these individuals? Sorry, you said a few individuals will speak on behalf of the Ogoni people. Who are these individuals?
I'm talking about the people that went to the State House to present the report. Look,
so they don't, sorry, just to be clear on this, they don't represent, those that went to the State House don't represent your view as a movement.
They do not have the mandate of Ogoni to present that report. Listen, when you see we have structures on dealing with issues of Ogoni, right from the beginning of the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, which led the struggle against Shell. We have the General Assembly of Ogoni people, and we also have a Congress. When we take decisions on certain issues, we take those decisions to Congress, and we get the views of everybody, and we take resolutions. Those resolutions are the things that we present to the government. Here we are, some persons came back from Aso Rock, they said they were taking the views of Ogoni people, and nobody saw that report. I am president of MOSOP, I never saw that report. Nobody saw that report, and that report is now being presented to Mr. President as if Ogoni people have taken the resolution. We have not. That is the aspect I'm saying is misleading. And so, Mr. President doesn't live in Ogoni. He is not an Ogoni, so he acts on what people tell him. They are misleading Mr. President. And even when he said, make sure that everybody gets involved, that was not done.
All right.
People just stand down and write the report they want done, because the entire thing is being driven, like I said, by one party. And that one party, the goal of that one party had always been to resume production in Ogoni. We all wanted that to resume. And that is why MOSOP even championed the campaign to address Ogoni. We have been very committed to this issue.
All right, we'll definitely come back to this. We'll come back to this, Mr. Nsuke. You've raised a couple of issues here. When we return from this break, I will dig deeper into this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. I still have Fegalo Nsuke as the president of the Movement for the Survival of the Ogoni People, MOSOP, as my guest at this time. Thank you for your time, sir. Now, just to recap what you said that the Ogoni, according to you, the Ogoni delegation that met with the president, as regards oil exploration and oil, doesn't represent, by extension, You or your movement or the Ogoni people? I mean, in this delegation, if I correct, we had people like Senator Lee Maeba, Senators Magnus Abe, and also Olaka Nwogo, amongst others. So you are saying categorically that the decisions reached, you are not privy to it as the president of MOSOP, and that to a very large extent, it doesn't represent your views. Just to get that correctly.
Yes, it's not about the individuals involved. It is about the procedure. Now, when you say you have collected information and that you're going to make a presentation on behalf of the Ogoni people, you should be able to have the mandate of the Ogoni people to speak for them. So it's not about the individuals, but I said it is about the procedure. What was naturally supposed to happen is that you do that presentation before a Congress of the Ogoni people. Because this is an issue that has cost 4,000 lives, Ogoni lives. This is an issue that people have, I mean, we've had thousands of people being maimed, being abused in every way you can think of. And this Ogoni people are very sensitive about this very issue. Okay. So you don't just wake up and think that because you have some advantage at this moment within the government space, you're just going to drive this thing so hurriedly, and you just go put something together, get some of your friends together, and then get some persons together, and you go to State House because, of course, there is always some political economy of State House visits. You go to State House and you do a presentation, and then the next thing you hear is that Ogoni people are presented. We are not part of it.
Let's get something straight.
We have never been consulted on this issue.
MOSOP has never been consulted on the issue.
On this issue, no. So you see, these manipulations are the things I say, and these are the things that have created problems for us in the past 30 years. Attempts to manipulate the system, attempts to manipulate people and deviate from the real issues. Why don't we sit down, all of us, and discuss our problem and come up with a solution? And then we can present that solution to the other parties, including the government, and say, this is what we want. We'll have a good dialogue. We can have a very good discussion. I tell you, at the end of the day, we'll be able to resolve. But this issue of, I don't know what drives it, but this idea that some persons will just write a report and then go to the State House and present it to Mr. President, and then when they attempt to get these things, you now begin to find crisis in Ogoni. The next thing they do, they draft soldiers into Ogoni. The next thing you hear is that they killed Ogoni people. That's the kind of thing we don't want. That is what MOSOP is preventing. That is the reason why we are saying no, it shouldn't be. Because we do not want our people to be killed. We do not want that. Because when you kill our people, the next thing we are going to do, we are going to internationalize the campaign. And it affects the image of the government. We are all Nigerians. We don't like our government to have this bad image. Okay. So we always say, let us discuss. And let us discuss honestly, frankly, not manipulating people into something that, you just imagine, this report has never been made public for Ogoni people. I mean, it's something that should have been made public.
Mr. Nsuke, you've made it abundantly clear, your position on this matter. But let's shift the conversation right now to look at issues as regards compensation and even infrastructure development for the Ogoni people. At some point, MOSOP did, allege that about $300 million, that's about 480 billion naira, meant for compensation and infrastructure development in Ogoniland, was looted by some privileged Ogoni leaders in collaboration with influential figures in Rivers State. I would like you to speak on that. As of now, what is your position on this allegation?
We said this thing over and over. They've not denied that there wasn't that payment. They've also not denied that the payment was diverted. So we've said these things over. They've just been silent about it. They know what we're talking about. It happened. What they are supposed to do is to respond to it and to see, because these are the issues that are causing crisis. Like I said before, that kind of money should have even been able to address a whole lot of issues that have been raised by Ogoni, especially the issue of infrastructural development. That kind of money would have been able to address it. There is also a $1 billion that have been injected into the cleanup process. And up to this minute, Ogoni does not have water, but they want to come and drill oil. Why are you ignoring the critical issues that the people are raising and pushing so hard for oil production? Why not sit down and bring everybody to the table and let's talk about these things? So you tell me there was $300 million that was paid for infrastructural development. What happened to it? You get the NNPC. We could make good progress. The fact is that there is a desperate push, and it is too hasty. And they shouldn't think that Ogoni people do not understand these things or we don't see what goes on. It's too hasty. And this hastiness is what I in particular am afraid of. My fear is that, and of course, I do know Ogoni people. If you look at the antecedents, you know that Ogoni will definitely resist this thing. There will be very stiff resistance. It won't be easy. And I do not see this thing happening. Maybe the other time they kill 4,000 persons, maybe they will kill 10,000 this time, and they will still not be able to drill the oil.
Okay,
but
so
some
quickly.
of us are advocating that, some of us are genuinely advocating and saying, this is the path we need to take. They don't want to listen. We will keep quiet and sit back and watch them and see how they get things done.
But quickly, I mean, so that those watching would have a better understanding of what your demands are to avert any future crisis on this matter. Can you just itemize some of these demands by MOSOP and to a very large extension the Ogoni people as regards oil exploration, infrastructure development, and even compensation if the need be? What are these demands in bullet points?
Let's sit down and talk. You cannot isolate MOSOP. You cannot isolate us in this discussion because the people listen to MOSOP. That's the truth. Now, in respect of what MOSOP wants, they are numerous. We've had the issue of, we've talked about the issue of the hanging of 1995. And that we want that issue to be very clearly addressed because you don't kill a man for murder and you turn around and say you're granting him pardon. It means that you admit that there was a murder, and we are telling you that there was no murder committed. We want that issue to be revisited. We want the issue of, we've lost like 4,000 persons. Ogoni has been completely devastated by pollution. Nobody has been compensated for that pollution. But that's not how to address these issues. When we talk about justice, you don't clean up a site, even if they are even doing a real cleanup. You don't clean up a polluted site without compensating people. Clean up without compensation is not remediation. Remediation means you clean up and you compensate people. So all of these are the things that if the government was actually an unbiased arbiter, these are the things the government should have brought onto the table, because when you sit down to talk with us, they're going to put all of this on the table. We'll trash it. But the problem we are facing here is that the government has just one goal, and that single goal, that one goal is to see to the production of oil in Ogoni, oil and gas resources.
All right,
they want that exploited. That's where they are driving towards.
All right, Mr. Nsuke. Mr. Nsuke, yes. Before we wrap up this conversation, let's. You've raised a lot of issues, and from the conversations that we're having, and what we also understand, some of these issues or challenges that you have highlighted have the involvement of Ogoni people too, people of Ogoni extraction, right? Your people. Is MOSOP doing anything to call some of these indigents to order who maybe they feel they are of disservice to the community?
What happens in Nigeria is once somebody has access to state power, he wants to crush every other thing, every other person. He doesn't want to listen to everybody, any other person, because he feels he has power. That's the thing that happens in Nigeria. Otherwise, I have written to this president, at least I know I've written to the president like about 5 times on this issue, proposing how we can address it. And I think that the government knows that we are serious and we are committed. We want this problem, the issue is we want this problem to be addressed permanently. And I know that Ogoni will not just let this thing go. Let me tell you something. When Ken Salura was about to be executed, he left few words with Ogoni And he said, I do not expect oil production to resume in Ogoni until it is properly negotiated. Those words sink properly. And for an Ogoni, Ogoni I know, failing to adhere to those words that came from a man who was being hanged because he was fighting for justice for us, failing to adhere to those words amount to betrayal of Ken Saro-Wiwa. A typical Ogoni I know will not do that. They will not. And that is where I tell them, and that's why I tell the government there will be resistance. Because some people will even prefer to die instead of betraying Ken Saro-Wiwa. That is very important. And we are willing to talk. We will tell them the truth. And we'll tell them the right path to take. Why are they avoiding this discussion? It's easy. Let's talk. And we can solve the problem easily. That's the truth. These manipulations wouldn't help us. And it's going to prolong the problem. And by the time you start killing Ogonis, you make this thing complicated. This thing will wait for another 20 years or 50 years. Because when they start killing people, it's going to be a more, they kill cancer, it has taken us over 30 years for us to address the problem. They start killing people again, maybe nobody knows how long it's going to take us. The best thing I think at this moment, I think that every party seems to be willing to address this problem. All parties. I tell you, the government is showing willingness to address, the oil industry is willing, and the Ogoni people are also showing willingness. So why can't we all sit down together and talk?
All right.
Why will you think you can exclude the masses? You can exclude the masses or leaders of masses and expect that we should be quiet when we pay the sacrifice? We shouldn't be quiet. It's wrong. And it will be absolutely wrong to be quiet about that.
All right, thank you so much. Fegalo Nsuke is the president of the Movement for the Survival of the Ogoni People, MOSOP. Once again, it's been a privilege having this conversation with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.